Hey students, so the next one is describe energy changes in chemical reactions. Okay, so basically we have three main points. The first we can say is bond changes, the second we can say is energy difference, and the third we can say is that there's just a scientific name for the stored chemical energy. Okay, so the first one is energy is needed to form new bond or break previous ones. So basically every chemical reaction involves breaking old bonds and making new ones. Okay, energy change in a chemical reaction is due to the difference in the amounts of stored chemical energy between products and reactions. So basically, because reactants and products store different amounts of chemical energy, a reaction will either release or absorb energy. Okay, this stored chemical energy or heat content is known as enthalpy. Okay, so this is just a scientific name for the stored chemical energy or heat content inside a substance, which is enthalpy. Okay, so the next one is exothermic reactions. Exothermic reactions release heat and light into their surroundings. Okay, so basically, what it means like these reactions release heat and light into their surroundings, making them feel hot. Okay, for example, combustion. Combustion means burning. Okay, reactions are usually exothermic because the energy required to break the bonds in the reactants is less than the energy released when new bonds are formed. The excess energy from the reaction is released as heat and light. So basically, we're saying that why it happens like it takes less energy to break the old bonds than the energy released when making the new ones. The leftover energy escapes as heat or light. Okay, like we have example, burning a candle is exothermic. The energy needed to break apart the candle wax and oxygen is much lower than the energy released when carbon dioxide and water vapors form, creating a hot, bright flame. Okay, so the third point is like this. Remember that the candle's reactants were hydrogen and carbon reacting with oxygen to produce carbon dioxide and water. The energy required to break down the hydrogen, carbon, and oxygen is less poor. The chemical reactions of a candle also produces heat and light. Therefore, then the carbon and water vapor created, so light and heat are created to release the excess energy. Okay? Okay, so as I have told you that exothermic reactions are the reactions that release energy, whereas endothermic reactions are opposite. Endothermic reactions are the reactions that absorb heat and light from their surroundings. Okay, so these reactions take in heat or light from the outside because they steal heat from the environment and the surrounding gets cooler. Okay, for example, decomposition reactions are usually endothermic. In these reactions, the energy required to break the bonds of the reactant is more than the energy released when new bonds are formed. In other words, the reaction requires energy to proceed. So basically, we are saying that it takes more energy to break the old bonds than the energy you get back when making new ones. Okay, you are at an energy deficit, so the reaction has to suck in extra energy to work. Okay, for example, for ice to melt, it must absorb heat from its surroundings. Okay, in exothermic reactions, the surrounding temperature rises while the surroundings get cooler in endothermic reactions as heat is absorbed. Okay, so basically, let's take an example like decomposition process, like breaking a single chemical down into smaller pieces usually requires pulling an outside heat, like ice melting. To turn solid ice into liquid water, it must absorb heat from the air around it. Okay, so the next one is compare physical and chemical changes. Okay. In a chemical change, the chemical bonds in the molecules break and the atoms link together to form different molecules. So basically, old chemical bonds break completely and atoms rearrange and link up in brand new ways. Okay? The type of molecules in matter before and after the chemical change are always different. Some chemical changes are caused by heating or cooling. For example, burning a piece of paper is a chemical change by heating. As a paper burns, the paper molecules react with oxygen molecules in the air by freaking bonds and linking to produce carbon dioxide molecules. So basically, heating a piece of paper causes a chemical change. The molecules in the paper react with oxygen to turn into ash and smoke. Okay, you can't turn the ash back into paper. So, this is a chemical change. Okay, so the next one is physical change. Okay, in a physical change, chemical bonds do not break. Like in a physical change, chemical bonds don't break. Okay, so the type of molecules in matter before and after a physical change are always the same. Change of a state is a type of physical change. So basically, the types of molecules you have before and after the change are exactly the same. No brand new substance is created. Okay, change of state is a type of physical change. So yes, moving between solid, liquid, and gas is always a physical change. Okay, they are caused by heating or cooling. Okay, so change of state can be caused by heating or cooling. For example, water vapors in a physical change caused by heating water. In a physical change, the appearance or the form of the matter changes, but the kind of matter in the substance stays the same. Liquid water and water vapors are made of the same types of matter. So basically, we are saying that moving between solid, liquid, and gas is always a physical change. These are caused by heating or cooling. Like heating liquid water turns into water vapors, which is gas. It looks different, but both are still just made of water molecules, which is H2O. Okay. So, a physical reaction does not cause a chemical change, but a chemical reaction can cause a physical change. The law of conservation of mass says that all physical and chemical changes conserve mass, meaning the total mass before a physical or chemical change is equal to the total mass after the change. Okay, so listen the first point. Like a physical reaction does not cause a chemical change, but a chemical reaction can cause a physical change. So basically, we're saying that changes can overlap. Like a physical change cannot create a chemical change. However, a chemical reaction can cause a physical change to happen at the same time. Okay, like you can say chemical reaction producing gas bubbles or changing colors. Okay, so the second point is that the law of conservation of mass, like this law states that mass is never created or destroyed. Like the total weight or mass, you can say, you start with before a change is exactly the same as the total weight or mass you have after the change. Like if you melt a 10-gram ice cube, you get exactly 10 grams of liquid water. Okay, the look changes, but the mass stays the same. Okay, so the next one is density. So unique physical properties of a particular object. So what it means that density is a unique physical property that tells you how tightly packed the matter inside an object is. Okay, a measurement of how tightly matter is packed together. Density is defined by its mass per unit volume. So basically, this is a formula of density. Density is equals to mass per unit volume. Okay, so basically, we are saying that density is a unique physical property that tells you how tightly packed the matter inside an object is. Like it explains why some objects feels very heavy for their size, while other feels very light, like a small brick or like a big piece of styrofoam. Okay, so to determine the density of a solid that has regular size, first calculate the volume of the solid using the equation length into width into height. It is this. Okay. For example, a wooden block has a mass of 5 kg, the length is 5 centimeter, the width is 3 centimeter, and the height is 4 centimeter. Okay. So using the equation to determine the volume. So you just have to multiply length, width, or height. Okay. So you will get volume. Okay. Length, width, and height. Now you have the volume, you can calculate the density using the equation. Mass divided by volume is equals to density 5 kg divided by 6 kg. Sorry, 60. 60 is the answer of this. Like 5 into 3, 15, which is 15 into 4, which is 60. So you will calculate the density of this. Okay, students, here are the activities. Okay, so you have a mineral with a volume. Volume means V of 15 centimeter cube and a mass of 17 gram. What it is density. Okay, students. So basically, we have a formula. Density is equals to mass per unit volume. You simply just put values in this and you will calculate it easily. Okay, students? Mass is 75, which is this, and volume is 15 centimeter cube. Okay, students? So the answer is 5. Okay, so the next one is what is the density of a sugar weighing of 12.8 grams and weighing 2 centimeter on a side? So here is 12.8 is a grams. As how can you know that it is a mass? Because mass is measured in kilograms or grams. So 12.8 is grams and measuring 2 centimeter is volume. Okay. So as I have told you that you have to simply put all the values in this formula. Okay. So the next one is synthetic material. Okay. What are these? Like, these are man-made materials. They don't just grow or exist in nature. Humans have to create them using chemical mixtures. Okay. So man-made materials created from chemical compounds used in the place of natural materials such as wood, cotton, and leather made by chemical changing the starting substance to create a material with different characteristics. So basically we use them instead of natural items like wood, cotton, leather because they can be cheaper or stronger or last longer. And how they are made, like scientists take natural ingredients and chemically change them. This gives the final product, okay, completely new characteristics, like you can say hard plastic. Okay, a synthetic substance may be chemically identical to a naturally occurring substance or it may be different. Some examples of synthetic materials are clothing, food packaging, construction materials, plastic, medicines, and new fuels. Okay? So basically, sometimes a man made material behaves exactly like a natural one, and other times it is completely different, like plastic or you can say nylon food packaging, concrete, you can say, and also modern medicines and artificial fuels. Okay, so the next one is activity. What natural resources make plastic bags? Okay, in order to make plastic bags, petroleum must be extracted from under Earth's surface. Petroleum and natural gas have a mixture of carbon-based molecules. These molecules are isolated using high heat. Then specific molecules can be used to make plastics. Okay, so basically the first one is extraction, like oil and gas, are pumped up from deep under the earth's surface. And this oil is full of carbon based molecules. Workers use extreme heat to separate and isolate the exact chemical pieces they need. And the next one is transformation, like those specific molecules are linked together chemically to form the plastic sheets used to make bags. Okay.